Hello. Oh. Hi, Jeremiah. What are you doing here?
Hello.
Welcome. We also have John.
Surprise.
What a surprise. I didn't.
I just
Hi,
fell
John.
in.
Hi,
I was
everyone.
just kind of like trying to work and I just fell into the stream. I don't know how that happened.
I love this for us. I think Dan, the omniscient presence, just decided to throw us all together. And honestly, it's the best way it could have turned out. Hi, chat. Welcome. We've had people waiting, Jeremiah and John, in our chat just to say
No.
hi. They've been messaging before we even went live, which is crazy. Hi.
What up,
Hello. So many
chat?
good faces that we see so often. Welcome for coming. Some new ones too. Cool. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Creating in Fortnite. I will be your host today, as well as John. My name is Shane Callymeyer. I am the creator community manager over here at Epic, and yeah, I'm excited to. This is gonna be a jam-packed show. We've got a lot of topics that we're covering. One of them being NPC Spawner. So thanks so much, Jeremiah and team, for coming on. John here for coming on to talk about it last minute for us. We heard y'all wanting to talk more and wanting to see more on it. So we're here to answer some questions when we get into that section. Then we also, of course, are talking all about Village, Sample Island, which came with so many awesome features for the community. So we're going to dig into those as well. And we have the team waiting at the ready for that. But to kick it off, I'm going to throw it to you, John and Jeremiah, for just some brief intro so people know who you are. For those who don't.
Thanks, Shane. Yeah, I'm John. I'm a technical designer here at Epic. I've been here for a couple of years, and I was on the team that worked on the NPC Spawner alongside Jeremiah. And I get to co-host today. It's amazing. I'm so honored. I'm excited.
Yeah, and
so
I'm
lucky.
Jeremiah
And we got
Grants.
Jeremiah too.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on one of these streams, so I'm super excited to be here. I'm a technical product manager on just the creator platform in general. So all of the tools, what goes from UE to UEFN, the verse side of things, primarily focused on character tech though.
Ooh, which everyone's excited to hear. We know the community's been waiting to hear more on that, so this is a great day for all of us, and we're excited to dig into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick some things off here, folks, because we've got a packed show. So we're gonna start just with some of the I guess the Epic's picks. Let's go with that, Dan. So kicking off our Epics picks for next week. So again, this will be on the 6th next week. You'll see Summer in the Road today. Congrats to those who are in Epics picks. It's awesome to see so many new creators featured there. But for next week, we're kicking it off with Monster House Tycoon here by IPSZ Ips, I think. So congrats, Ips, for Monster House Tycoon. Excited to dig into that one.
Yeah. I mean, like, for the uninformed, what happens when you're like featured, right? Like that seems like amazing.
Oh yeah. So when you're featured, you're put in the Epics Picks row. We try to pick maps that are unique, are high quality, are going to show off some of the new features quite well, kind of look outside the box. So if you do want to be featured on Epics Picks, make sure you're submitting your island, and you can check that stuff out in Creator Portal underneath where they have like creator support. You also see submission form there, so make sure you're doing that. But yeah, it's up for about a week, John. Bearing there's no issues or bugs or things that pop up suddenly. But yeah, it's actually quite difficult to get into Epic's picks these days because there's so many amazing islands out there and such a large influx. So it is really quite an achievement.
Sounds prestigious. Yeah.
It is. And then for the second one we have today, we've got Suika, X Suika, which looks similar to a gameplay style I've seen before, so I'm really excited to see it here in Fortnite Creative / UEFN. It's a trendy classic falling block puzzle game. We love those. I can't wait to try that out. Have you seen one of these before in Fortnite, John?
Yeah, I was super impressed, right? I thought I saw legit like multiplayer Tetris, and I was like, how the heck is that even possible? But it's really cool to see it with like non-blocks and props and things like this.
Yeah, super fun. Puts the Fortnite stamp on it, huh? And then we've got Fortnite Funland by Nick A30. We know Nick A30. Congrats, Nick A30. This looks super fun too. And a new theme park added in there. Let's see. There's roller coasters, exciting mini games, and you can even collect tickets to unlock awesome items. That's super cool. Awesome. Congrats,
Yeah, this
Nick.
sounds pretty chill.
Yeah, this one seems like just go in and like hang out and have fun, huh?
And there's already like 400 people playing that one.
That's awesome. Congrats. Yeah, Epic's Picks, it's going to put it out there. And hopefully get those eyes in there. I know I'm always the first to check those because I know the team puts a lot of love and care in trying to choose and trying to, put those out there that they can. And so it's good to see. It's good to see y'all celebrated. We've got Extreme Pirate
Mario in
Fishing.
the chat. Yeah, this guy Mario in the chat, he was talking about like, well, you could do Tetris in Fortnite. I was like, yo, there's so much beyond Battle Royale in Fortnite. Like, that's the thing that just amazes me every single week over week. And even some of these maps that you're showing for the first time, I'm dying to play some of these.
Yeah, there's so much in Fortnite Mario now, and we're going to go into that deeper later too about all the things that the new tools that we launched and the kind of things that can be done. So kind of get your mind going on what is possible within Fortnite today, because it just kind of expands and expands. Super exciting. We've got one that I know would be Zoe's favorite, and that's Extreme Pirate Fishing by Knots and Bolts. Congrats, Knots and Bolts. This is I'll never forget when I first started Epic, and because Zoe was like, you've got to try out fishing in Fortnite, but like fishing in creative. We played it for a couple hours. It was really fun. So I'm sure this one feels even better since UEFN has launched. How exciting. So congrats, Knots and Bolts.
Just the title alone catches me, like Extreme Pirate Fishing. Like, I'm like, I gotta see what that's about.
I love the thumbnail too. This one looks super flashy. We got Don't Fall by TKYK. Be the last one standing with select game modes. And they all have the same rule. Don't fall. Loving the thumbnail work that was done here, TKYK. It's very flashy, very pretty.
Seems like Fall Guys inspired.
Inspired. We all need some inspiration, Sean. And then we have Red versus Blue, Air Ambush. Ooh, I can see. Ooh, there's a lot going on. I'm curious to see like how big these items are within this map. This looks awesome. You get to fight inside, choose a team, purchase weapons, and then it's like a red v blue, but in this scenario. That looks awesome. Yeah, congrats. And how's chat going? Hi, everyone. The village template looks amazing. Well, we're glad to hear that. The best games. That's what I've heard. That is a fact. All right. Well, congrats to everyone who is going to be featured in Epic's Picks next week and who's being featured right now. We're so proud of you. And definitely keep submitting. And heck, like if you don't get in one time, oh my God, Zoe's here. I didn't see it. There she is. But yeah.
Where's she at?
That just threw me. She's in YouTube chat. Hi, Zoe. But yeah,
I see her right there.
Congrats. Yeah.
Zoe, I'm filling in for you. Thank you for calling out sick so that I can do this for a day.
Look. John was handpicked just as Zoe was. We love our co-hosts. Welcome, John. All right. Yeah, every week there's Epic's Picks, so you increase your chances when you apply. And if you do get, that's what I was saying. If you do get rejected, always feel free to, see what you can do, tweak a few things, make it feel as good as possible, resubmit again. There's no harm in doing that. So definitely keep at it. It's awesome to see. Well, with that,
we've got some in the Discord. Yeah, I gotta ask, are people in the Discord? Because like I get to see all the Epic Picks people roll there, right? It's just like this big wall of fame right now, like of everybody.
Yeah, in the Discord. Yeah, whenever you're featured, that's a great point, John. Whenever you're featured, you become a featured creator on our Discord, and there's like a featured chat where you can kind of hang out with other featured creators and ask questions as well. And you get a nice little shiny roll for that. So yeah, we like to celebrate and we like to announce who's new too, which we'll be doing soon. So congrats to all newly featured creators as well. Well, with that,
Congrats.
we've got a ton of news, right, John? Oh my goodness. John and Jeremiah, rather. Hi, Jeremiah.
Just
Jeremiah's
hanging
hanging
out,
out back
just
there.
having a good
He's just
time. Yeah.
hanging out with
He's
us.
saving it. He's saving his breath because he's gonna be here for a bit.
Yeah, he definitely is. Well, I know Jeremiah could speak to some of this stuff, but yeah, we're gonna check out the news, Dan the Van Man, and that's gonna start kicking off with our V28.00 update that happened in December. We might have touched on this a bit, of course, because we talked about Village Sample Island. We talked about the new fixed point camera devices, new angle devices. We've got third person controls. The map controller device, which is super exciting. I'm looking to see more people try that one out. I haven't seen as many as
Mm.
I expected to, but I can see people getting really creative with that.
The
Um,
volume one, as a developer, right? Like this is like game development key component, like day one, and to see it finally come in 28.0, so people don't gotta like abuse the mutator zone is a nice little uh update I see here.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got some Discover updates. The team has been working hard at bringing some weapons and items forward for Creative and UEFN that have previously, were featured in, say, BR and haven't been brought in yet. So thank you all for your feedback on the ones you'd like to see. That team is, they're working hard on many different things. So we're trying to get as much as possible. But definitely keep sharing the ones that you really, really want. We're keeping kind of track of those things to help, tackle the ones that we can that are the easiest to integrate as well, so we can get them kind of faster. But so thank you all for that. We've got, of course, the player movement updates. That came out, vehicle speed changes. Yeah, there's a ton. Reboot changes. There's a lot in the next update as well, John, right? That we were going to go over. So, yeah, this is a
Oh wow, yeah, we're not
chonky
even
one.
on
This one was this one
28.10, right? We're talking about the December
this
one.
one, no.
Nice.
This is a big one.
Yeah.
But with this one, also came, of course, the new camera types, gameplay controls, and map options. You can check all this out, of course, in the blogs. Looks like my
I've
browser was
seen a
like
lot
not
of
when it came to photos today, but
2D maps. So a lot of people taking advantage of those new cameras, like
yeah.
doing side scrollers, top down, isometric, right? I think the village is gonna really showcase that in action.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then if you do need any more help with that, of course, we have our awesome documentation team here. They've kind of fleshed everything out for you. I think my browser's struggling. My browser's like, you're doing too much work, Shane. You're streaming. You can't, but y'all get the idea, right? It's there.
And they got the
And then of
link, I
course we
hope.
have the village. Yes, yes, and there should be. Yeah, I guess I will drop those links in chat for you in 1 second. But yeah, the Village Sample Island, we've got the blog here, which we'll be diving into, of course. And then, John, we've got, of course, V28.10, which just came out recently. And there's been a lot of I guess, discourse around it and everything that came with it. So we will kind of give a brief overview for those who, haven't checked into it too deeply. But of course, we kicked off with the NPC Spawner device, right, John?
Oh my gosh, this has been a long time coming. You don't even know. It is so exciting to kick off 2024 and get this puppy out there in the wild. I got to graciously persuade Jeremiah to come on and talk about this baby. There's so much you can do with it, right? Like, let alone bring in your character, bring in a companion, and in addition, you can modify their behavior using verse. You can bring in animations and make them do all sorts of amazing actions and behaviors. And really, ultimately, like, now it's not just about the player, right? It's like, hey, what type of stories and experiences can you create now that you're not like just limited by like a drop down field of like pre-selected characters anymore?
Yeah, so exciting. I know people have been asking for this for a really long time, John. So that one is super exciting. And then let's see, we've also got, of
Ooh,
course, guard
and then
spawner, updated guard spawner, right? Dance manicure
yeah,
and character
exactly.
devices.
Talking about that preset drop down list, now we kind of blew that away and we just exposed like 100+ character skins for you to have a nice palette to paint with, right? All types of skin tones, fantasy creatures to set as guards, set as companions, set as quest givers, set as you name it, right? I'm super excited. So not only in the NPC spawner device, but in addition to those legacy devices like the character device, I think the dance mannequin and the guard spawner, they can go in and behave like a guard with a weapon and be a super hard enemy or be a super cool ally to like beat whatever.
Nice, yeah. I know Jeremiah, you've been championing this for a really long time, and Jeremiah was there with a lot of talks we had with creators who are really asking for this tool, and so I know he's really excited, huh, Jeremiah? We've got it out there.
I am very excited to get this out. It's been a long time coming, and I've spent my entire career around character development and character technology. So to
Nice.
get to the point where we can release this again, this is early access. This is just the beginning of the plans on here, but to get this foundation out so that really we can start pushing what types of characters and what types of life you can bring to your islands is super exciting to me. I can't wait to see. I've already seen a whole bunch of really cool stuff come out, and I can't wait to see how much further people push it.
That's right. Keep sharing the things that you're making. We love seeing it, love seeing what's possible, and being able to share that with the team, it means a lot to them. So thank you all who continue to tag us and share those things. Well, I know
Sam
for
on
the sake of
chat even
time.
calls out Jeremiah's LinkedIn post. So apparently people follow your LinkedIn, Jeremiah.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love that.
I didn't need to put my socials on there. People got it. It's fine.
they found it.
Your fan base knows
for
where
the
you
sake
be.
of time, I know we had a couple other things we want to go over, but honestly, I think let's just dive into NPC Spawner. How about it, guys? We can pull Evan in here, who we haven't had on yet, and then we can talk a little bit
Come
more
on
about
down.
the team and who's been working on this. And welcome, Evan.
What up, Evan?
You're muted,
muted, my
but
friend.
we'll figure it out.
Eventually his voice will catch up to his video.
We'll. You hearing
Say
anything,
3
Dan?
words.
Dan the
First
band
word.
man? You got it.
We got lip readers out
ABC,
there.
second word.
We got.
Yo, Alexandra's like they've been waiting for the docs team to come through.
Fader is on. Are you hearing him, Dan? I don't know. Forgive me, I'm not sure what that means. He's typing. Alright, so this is virtual live streaming. Oh, we don't have audio from your end, Evan.
Okay, so you're hardware muted, software muted. The cat
you
got
might
your
want
headphone.
to, if you don't have the cog to be able to open your settings.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I heard him.
We hear you.
I heard him.
There we go.
He's
Chat, you hear
back.
him?
Yay. We got him. All right.
Chat, give me all the emojis if you hear Evan.
Sorry for the trouble, everyone. Hey,
Uh-huh.
Evan Brown from the Verse Docs team here. Programmer writer, making a lot of cool documentation on the NPC Spawner initiative. So yeah.
Nice. Welcome. We're so happy to have you, Evan. And then, of course, we did a brief intro, but Jeremiah worked really hard on this. Any other thoughts you want to add on your work on the NPC Spawner, Jeremiah?
Well, yes, I did do a lot of work on it, but really it's a big team over a lot of time that worked very hard on this. So we're just here representing that work. And much more going on afterwards. So there's so much you can do with this stuff. And I know that when we released it, and one of the reasons why we released it in early access is we didn't want to just keep holding on to what we had before getting feedback, let people start stress testing it. And we know we introduced a lot of complex concepts kind of all at once. And it'll take a bit of time to really start understanding that. But that's where a lot of the work that Evan and the rest of the docs team has really started pushing and trying to pull back the veil of how you can use each piece of this to make something pretty powerful. One of the great things about this, and one of the reasons why we really pushed to have this new device, is we wanted something that could be very agnostic, something that could be a boss or a pet or you name it, whatever type of creature you want, and have different levels of complexity. So if you just want to use a guard type character, you really don't have to do much with the device. You just say, hey, I want it to look like, I don't know, name your favorite character. But if you want to go all the way in and do something much more complex with your own custom skeletal meshes and your own animations or retargeting, you can go that far as well. One of the things that I've been playing around with personally is writing a full state machine thing in verse, which has been complex and fun, and it just gives new ways to stress test every aspect of how you can control different types of characters, from your standard guards to the different wildlife that we've made available. And there's some fun ways you can use that wildlife or use the guards as well, especially with retargeting. I think we might be able to show a little bit of that after Evan's shown some of his stuff.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, thanks so much for that intro, Jeremiah. That was super helpful. Yeah, I guess we'll kick off into Evan's screen share, and we're going to discuss a little bit, just show kind of more of a visual overview of NPC Spawner and the updates there. So yeah, let's see. Bearing everything works. We're good, Dan? I'm hearing silence.
Evan's
so
got a massive fan club in the chat. It's
Screen
crazy.
share's off. Oh, we don't have screen share at the moment. Okay. You know, that's just how it is, y'all.
Been one of those
It
days.
looks like
Jeremiah,
it's working
we need-
for
we need
me,
backup.
Dan. I see him. I see him on there. He's in there for Evan.
Some
For what's
questions
worth, I
in the
see mine.
chat. Hey.
Fixed.
At least he
Okay.
sees the
Sounds
screen.
like we're good. All right.
Oh, yes.
right.
Don't mind us.
Look at that new landing page.
Whoa.
Fancy new landing
So
page.
nice.
Look at that. That
All
wasn't
right,
there. That wasn't
cool.
there the last release. That wasn't there in 2023 for sure. That's a 2024
Yeah.
exclusive.
This looks great. Well, yeah, I guess so. Jeremiah, we talked about a decent bit about it just now, but I know we wanted to kind of dive into the overview with these documents, this page as well. So, anything else we'd like to add, kind of on the overview overall?
Well, I think that AI and NPCs they tend to go hand in hand, and I know that a lot of people have created like used sequencer to create NPC type behaviors and a lot of workarounds, but hopefully this landing page and the links that we have in here provide people a clearer path to how they can implement their own, rather than relying on kind of the community workarounds, which I absolutely love how clever everybody is. But this should make it a little easier and get rid of some of the fog. The docs team did a fantastic job of stepping through each of the components, and everybody, John and everybody else on the design team and engineering team also jumped in to add their little bits of knowledge and experience into these as well.
Yeah, we really wanted to deliver
Yeah.
a mix of both like conceptual documents and also documents that, went hard into like, how do you make your own NPC? How do you make character definitions? How do you import animations? What do you do with them? And then, make a full like walkthrough example with the create your own medic character, showing the whole process.
Evan, before you get into
Awesome.
the medic, I gotta call out one of my favorite pieces that you added onto here, and it
Oh.
was just like the AI flowchart, right? Like just to conceptualize how do you even structure this autonomous being, right? To make sense as you're kind of trying to code it out. Yeah, there it is. Look at that.
The
And
finance
Jeremiah was
machine.
also talking about FSMs. So look, there's some
Nice. We love this.
cohesion there.
It's
FSM,
those types of
AI,
things where
they're
we
just good buddies.
Yes, it's where we start diving into theory a bit, and it's easy to get lost in it, but it's something that you can go deep into if you want to, but you don't have to. But knowing that you have that level of control with these characters, it is, I think it's essential to making more and more complex and engaging experiences. So I love that Evan and the team went this far with the documentation.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, we
thank
really
you
want
so
to
much.
make sure that people understood like the basic idea of how NPCs work, so they could, better visualize and design their own NPCs. And hopefully, whether you're playing UEFN or VR or creative, like this knowledge transfers over. So for instance, like this guard flowchart here does apply to like all the different guard NPCs in Fortnite VR. So I don't know, maybe you could use that for your own fights.
Oh,
We're seeing a lot of love in
Yeah,
chat for the
meta.
documentation so far too, you guys.
Yeah, and
that's
Evan has a
point.
massive fan club. I don't know. You
Yes, he
pay these
does.
people. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I had to pull in a few folks.
No, a lot of love in chat.
Cause you've been on the stream before. I think that's what it is. You're like a reoccurring.
Yeah, I was last year
That's
covering
right.
the
That's right.
team elimination game.
Okay. All right, dude. I gotta see this. I gotta see this medic.
Yeah, so we were gonna kind of dive more into like what's possible, right, Evan, and some examples and snippets here. So, yeah, give us kind of the walkthrough on what we got.
For the NPC medic?
Yeah, looks like it looks like we were focused on we were focused on the medic specifically, kind of for this section. I know, and we were gonna talk about the different snippets, it looks like, or I think we were actually going to dive more deep into just the overall, it sounds like, for your
Yeah.
section on the snippets.
So with, all of our AI and NPC documentation, we deliver like the individual steps of, how to create a character definition, first behavior script that goes with that character definition, and then different things you can do with it. And this NPC medic example we made was just kind of meant to be a, full walkthrough of the entire process. So we first talk about the conceptual, like why a meta character might be useful for your game. When making this talk, I was thinking about the character Remedy in Fortnite VR, because she was always like so overpowered. You hire her, and then she, like heals you up while she's fighting. And I want to try and recreate that a tiny bit in UEFN. So, go in, talk about the finite state machine of a medic so you can visualize it. I actually made the finite state machine before getting in to the code, so I could understand like, okay, what's this character that I'm making gonna do? What's it gonna do in each of these edge cases, et cetera, et cetera? Like, how does it jump from one behavior to the next? And then, getting to creating the NPC behavior script, implementing a verse queue, which is a data structure reason to, pick characters to heal. This character, this medic specifically, is either fighting or healing, and if your HP is under a certain threshold, when you walk within a certain radius of the medic, it heals you instead of fighting. So we go pretty hard onto the verse. A lot of verse scripts, a lot of verse to talk about healing characters inside of volume, tracking when a character is into volume, and we also try and use a lot of the new APIs that came out with 2810. So, like navigating to a character, focusing on a character, tracking when the character's into volume, et cetera, et cetera. Then finally, we get into adding the character to the level, dragging them in, spawn them in, creating a character definition for them, and adding a verse script onto them and making them look more than just default Jonesy. I like Jelly here specifically.
Yes.
Cool little GIF example
Sweet,
down here of how it all works.
Yeah, it sounds like the chat saying they love the videos added into the documentation, that it really, really helps. A lot of us I know are visual learners, so we really appreciate that. That's awesome to see.
Me as well. Yeah, we've definitely heard y'all chat in terms of adding like more visual examples. So been trying to add GIFs, and then other things like that flow state chart visual at the top of the document. Because I'm a visual learner myself too, trust me. Sometimes I need to see it.
Yeah, definitely. And then also, I know we haven't talked about this yet, John and team, but we created a NPC channel on the Fortnite Create Discord, so you can check that out since it's
Yes.
so new. If y'all have any questions or are running into any issues, or you just want to share the cool stuff you're working on with the team, they'll be hanging out there and helping where we can. But definitely check that out. It should be live now, and then yeah, we'll have it posted and saved on there. So yeah, definitely share your feedback there. Check it out. We'll also be taking questions in a few minutes. So if you've got some questions in chat, feel free to drop them in there, and we'll snag some. But yeah. So with this, Evan, was there anything else we kind of wanted to dive into when it comes to the examples that we have, or anything, or?
I would say I would just encourage people to, jump into the documents, get their hands on it, start making your own custom characters. It's been really inspiring to see what people have made so far. And what I found especially cool is, creators upgrading their existing experiences with the NPC spawner and these new characters. So it's just been really cool to see what everyone's made.
Yeah, I've seen some amazing posts on Twitter, and like Shane, like you mentioned, we just created that channel like today, and so I'm super. It's like first post, super excited to see what people share, and definitely, if we don't get to your question on the chat here on the stream today, that's the best place, if not on the forums, to drop anything that crosses your mind as you work with this thing, or want to see how people are implementing it, or to see what hasn't been done with it yet, because the team will be monitoring it, right? We'll be in there kind of trying to help guide as well. So please
Yes.
jump in there.
And if you run into any bugs or anything, make sure that you're logging them on our EDC forum under issues and reporting. That whenever you log there, it goes right on our back end, and it is logged so that we can see everything. And make sure to upvote ones that if you're experiencing anything to help us kind of get more eyesight on that. Super helpful. But okay, cool. Well, if there's nothing else we wanted to kind of show off on here, we can dive into Jeremiah's little section. John, was there anything else you wanted to add? I know this was your baby too, so I want to make sure you have time to share if there was anything else you wanted to chat about.
Oh yeah, I mean, we there's so much to come with the village and everything that if you let me open up the editor, then we'll never get out of here. So just thanks Evan and Jeremiah for coming and informing people and sharing the hard work that they put in getting this out there, and the love. It was a labor of love. I'm not even exaggerating the time that was spent here. And they're like, okay, we're done, and it's coming out in September. Okay, maybe October. Okay, maybe November. Okay, January for sure. Like it's got to happen January. And so it's fine. I can't even believe that it's out there. And
Me neither.
we're trying to hear and listen. And just see. I think that's the best thing you could do for us, right? Like a small favor to ask is please share whatever craziness you're doing. One of the big things I'm seeing, Shane, I don't know if you've seen it, people are making cars with this. They're taking wildlife, taking the riding component and importing vehicle meshes, and they're like, hey, you got a custom car. It's like, I never foresaw people doing that.
Nice.
Right? Like that's just craziness right there. Yeah.
I love that. That is crazy. I love the ways that people take the tools that we have, especially in early access, so we can then get a better idea of, oh, there's actually other things we could have built in here, or oh, we see that there's a need for this, so now that we can start maybe working towards something that's more in line with what you're trying to create easier. So that always helps too.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, John. And with that, Jeremiah, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience here about what's to come for NPC Spawner and the similar?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, since we are in this early access state, we know there's going to be some limitations and some bugs. There's a lot you can do with the guard spawner. I mean, we've been working on that for quite some time, and I think John and some of the other teams showed the stronghold template earlier last year. Yes, it's officially last year now.
Wow.
So it's there's a lot in the API. There's a lot that you can do within the environment itself with those guards. We'd love to see that same level of control in the NPC spawner. That's going to take some time, but that's something that we'd like to get to. One thing we didn't mention, which I think is a pretty huge deal, is the new animation API. So you can now play an
yes.
animation on any NPC using Verse, using the Verse asset reference. I can't remember the exact name of it. But you can reference the assets directly in your project through Verse and apply them as a reflection, and play
Yes.
those
Nice.
on your characters. So one of the reasons why that's such a big deal is previously you would use level sequences, and you weren't able to reuse a level sequence on multiple characters. But this way you can just say I have an idle animation and it plays on all of these characters. If you want to script together something and reuse, it's a really great way for. It also means that using the same concept that Evan showed with the state machines, you can write your own custom state machines in Verse that's playing animation. So if you want to have something that runs up and attacks you, you would just be using a custom attack animation. Let's say you want to make a zombie that tries to bite you or tries to, scratch you. You can really extend this really far using those types of concepts, and those are going to continue to grow as well.
That's a good call, Jay. Like, I'm thinking, if let's say I had like a football stadium full of people and I wanted to animate them, right? Previously, you would have to have like a sequence for each person, I would think, right? And so now,
If
through
you want
Verse
to control them
programmatically,
individually,
right? Yeah. So now
Yeah.
through Verse programmatically, right? You could just be like, here's a list of all my people and play this one animation instance, at whatever delay or offset or whatever. You can make a wave much easier than before.
That's right, and it's so you're going to be saving a lot of space on your project size as well through this type of. And we do have plans to update our supporting content. Evan already put together the amazing medic, but we also want to update the stronghold template and the animation starter template with examples of how to use these as well. There's all there's so much you can do with this, so it's kind of hard to dive into all of it. So I'm trying to keep it fairly focused. I am happy to answer any questions there. But in the meantime, I'm gonna pull up, swap over to my screen share, and see if I can just show a little bit of what we've been playing around with. There we go. I've got our guys all spawning. So what I'm showing here is I've taken the blue dinosaur from, I guess it's a dragon, from the UE content samples, and I migrated it in. And I have it retargeted onto the raptor wildlife. So there's no physics or animation or anything. It's purely just retargeted using the raptor wildlife and the retarget asset for this raptor. And then we have over here a couple guards. One of them is the UE5 Manny, and we have our standard guard. So again, showing how you can continue to extend this quite a bit. And then one of my favorites, because I worked on Paragon, so I always love to bring in Paragon assets. I have Rampage here, who's using a complete custom character type, and back here.
Oh, he doesn't like the spotlight.
It's using its own animations and using its own animations. Again, what are you doing? Breakdance for me?
Yeah.
You're in a space.
So it's this idle
Yeah,
and
he's
like a
getting down.
dance. I love it. Stop following me.
Oh wow.
They all
Where'd he
die.
go?
I know.
What?
Don't worry, they respond.
Jeremiah, you gotta warn us. No, that's cool.
But this is the type of test maps that we're working on and using to see where the edge cases are, where things tend to break down, because as we release this, there's so many moving parts, and it's really challenging to measure every edge case. But this is some of the stuff that we play around with to see what validate whether or not it's working as intended or not. Oh, look at you dancing over there. I'm gonna look at the editor here a little bit more, and without going too deep into these projects, because I've spent a significant amount of time playing around with these. I want to show a couple other things that we haven't focused on too much. One is we've added a new folder in the Fortnite project, or in the Fortnite assets. There's characters, which you'll see all of these characters that are all available now on the NPC Spawner, the guard device, and others. There's also these two folders, Player Basics and Wildlife. So Player Basics is giving you the Fortnite mannequin and the base skeleton proportions for masculine and feminine guards. So if you want to create any new animations or like a custom animation that you want to play on the guards, you can use these to start out, or you can use Sequencer and do it live. I'm trying to remember what I'm doing. I am going to create a quick level sequence here and grab you. So if I create an animation on this, let's do yeah. And I think we show this somewhere. I feel like here, buddy, zoom in on me. If I want to animate, I'm just gonna take a leg. Thigh, maybe? Sorry, thigh, this is gonna hurt. There we go. This is the worst animation. This is why I'm not an animator. I just make tools for animators so they can make better things than me. So this is my amazing animation.
Yeah, I'm a game designer making tools for better game designers to make better games than I can.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can right click on the top here and say bake animation sequence. This will create a new animation sequence for me to use. I'm going to call this one broken leg.
Thank you for the walkthrough, Jeremiah. That's helpful.
Like I said, I'm going to wing it. I have no idea what I'm going to show. We're doing it live. So. And what that's going to do is it's going to bake an animation sequence. It's going to pop up this quick export. You don't really need to worry about this unless if you want to. So we'll just, and then you'll pop up something in the corner that will let you know that there's an animation sequence. And so now we should have a broken leg. Ooh, that's great. This is what professional 20 years in game development will let you do.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. So the I went right on. Yeah. So there we go. We have an animation. You can change your previous project that you're playing around with. But you can go much further on this, and you can use any hand authored control rigs that have already been created. But now I can play that animation on any guard. That's the cool part. Now you don't have to just use level sequences and cinematic sequence devices. You can use the play animation code to trigger any of those. That was a biggie. Oh, and if we go back to the player basics, so you should be able to reference these anytime you use that bake animation sequence. It should reference the correct skeleton, so you shouldn't run into validation issues. Nope. And also you have the wildlife. So all the wildlife that is available for the guard spawner, right? Or not the guard, sorry, the NPC spawner is visible here. And where this is really helpful is when you want to start creating retargeting stuff. I'm going to go to my wagon. And here I have, see, I got the raptor and I have my dino. And I'm able to create an IK rig. Don't have enough time, unfortunately, to go deep into the retargeting, but we have tons of retargeting content, including live streams from the UE team. So they go deep into how to set this up. So essentially all I'm doing is saying, this is my spine. These are my legs. These are my fingers and my tail. And then I do the same thing for my custom dino. and I gave it a couple goals that I can drag around that kind of manipulate how my character will retarget. And then when I connect those together and map, oh, these legs are the same, these tails, this maps 1-to-1, then every time this character moves, it gets the same effect on you. One of the nice things about this type of system and retargeting onto the existing Fortnite wildlife or guards is you get all of the animation that already exists for those characters. And some of the characters, like the raptor, has the physics set up so it feels much more fluid. We don't yet have physics setups available for kind of full character simulation. So you are able to get that by retargeting onto the base Fortnite characters already.
We have a couple
Those are-
questions in chat, Jeremiah. One person was asking if it's the same retargeting used in UE5, which I think you said it was very similar, right?
It is the same. It's the IK
exact same.
retargeter
Awesome.
and IK. Yeah. Like that was my baby for a long time over on UE.
That was by design.
Perfect. It's easy to switch, yeah.
Yep. Jeremiah was like, I'm going to
so
make
you should be able
happen.
to create those. Yep. Yeah, you can just right click animation, retargeting. Here's your IK retargeter rig. All of the documentation that you would find on the UE docs would directly apply to it regarding IK rig and IK.
You did have a special request to walk through the NPC from Paragon. In chat.
Easy. Let's do it. So I chose Rampage. I love Rampage. So
great question.
Let me try and do I'll try and do it fast. Okay. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a new NPC character definition, and I'm going to call this, I like to call these NPC livestream.
This is for UEFN only currently, Eamon, and also on UE for the retargeting section. But yeah, this device is only within UEFN.
And
right.
Jay, if you get a chance to show how the animation is mapped in verse and how you call it, just to show it.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So I'm creating a new NPC from scratch. I've changed my character type to custom because I want to have my own geometry and I want to have my own animations. And then by default, you should have each one of these character types has a default set of modifiers. In this case, custom, cosmetic, and a health. I'm going to expand my cosmetic and have a couple options here. Either run around as one of the Fortnite characters, or you can do a custom character. In this case, I'm going to use a blueprint. This is how you'll set up all custom characters. All my blueprint is an actor blueprint with this skeletal mesh dragged in. Let's go ahead and create one really quickly. Right click, blueprint, and I'm just going to choose actor. And we'll say VP. I'm going to use different capitalization for everything I rename. And then in order to quickly make this, I'm just going to drag my skeletal mesh in here. And best practices, take the skeletal mesh and drag it over the default scene root. Ideally, you have the skeletal mesh as your scene, your root component, rather than a scene component. This will make it much easier for Sequencer to assign the appropriate control rigs, for animations to map it. It makes a lot of things easier. And we're done there. So now I can go back to my NPC, my NPC definition, and I'm going to change my character blueprints to have a whole bunch in here. Livestream, yes. All right, so now I have a character, which looks like Rampage, and it would just sit there in its reference pose. So we need to assign an animation. Let's create one of those really quick.
Roji likes the scene root tip.
Yes, that's a pro tip. Okay, so for an animation preset,
Gotta hear first.
Again, I'm going to right click, create a blueprint. I'm going to go to anim preset. I'm going to choose this first one, anim preset basic locomotion. We're going to continue to add more of these presets going forward. This is our initial one for early access, but there's more in the works. I'm going to name it AP and go different capitalization. I'm just doing that because okay. Then I have a list of animations I can assign. So I took the animations, I just exported them out as FBX files from UE5 and brought them in here. I'm just assigning these really quick. So idle, let's do this idle. I'll drag it in. Move forward is going to be do quadruped forward, and that is enough to get my character moving. It'll idle and it'll move forward. If it needs to move backward or start strafing, so if you have it focusing on a point and tell it to move the opposite direction or left and right, then it'll start using those strafing or backward animations. I don't think I have any in here right now, so we're not going to see that. And then at that point, we need to, oh goodness.
I know I saw a question about weapons and how they're impacted by the animations, I thought.
Yeah.
But the chat is so poppin' that I'm struggling to find it again. Let's see.
So in this case there, I assigned the anim preset. And my character is essentially done. I can drag this in, and now I have Rampage in there, and Rampage should be ready to move around. I don't have any behavior assigned, so it doesn't know yet to go into an idle or not. That's the very quick overview of how to set up a custom character from. Okay, so next, let's take a look at. I have all kinds of. This is my messy project, so thanks for bearing with me. All right, so
don't sell yourself short.
I've
Jay.
created.
It's pretty well organized.
I'm actually going to borrow from our anim engineers example. Is this play animation example?
Shout out to Lucas.
Yep, Lucas.
Someone was asking if the dragon is part of the wildlife spawner. Did he have the same animations? Was that his animation setup?
He's
a raptor under the hood, right?
Oh, he's a raptor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
so
is
wildlife.
Yeah, so I will go back to details.
I think I remember you mentioning it.
Yeah, so I have it as a wildlife, and I've assigned the raptor, and then I have a cosmetic modifier, which is doing a custom character, just like we did with Rampage, and I have it as this blue dinosaur, and then I've assigned that retarget asset that I showed with the raptor and the dino standing next to it.
Awesome, thank you. And are they able to create physics assets with for retargeted wildlife and NPCs? Someone was asking.
Physics assets are not fully supported yet. You can create a physics asset, but mostly that will serve for camera frustum pulling and that type of stuff. But having like simulation is not yet supported. Also, I think we have to do more testing, but I don't think creating physics assets that have full support for, like, if I wanted to get a headshot on my dragon and the head is weird, I don't think that's quite yet. But that's
not yet
on the roadmap as well.
Awesome. And someone else was also asking if any of these will be uploaded as example projects or snippets on the forums later.
They'd be great to have those, but I think the goal initially is to update the strongholds template and the animation starter content, and then at least that's what our team is focused on, and the docs team and some of our evangelism teams have other types of content samples that they're working from, which may include these. I don't have the full sheet in front of me, but we're always looking for new ways we can describe how to use these. Uh,
Yeah,
every
no,
sample
that's
that I put
a
together
lot.
here, just I didn't really know what I was going to show today. So
Oh yeah, no, this is great.
I'll use as assets that are freely available from either the UE content samples project or directly from Fortnite. So you should be able to recreate any.
Perfect. Yeah, you heard it, folks. Check those out if you're looking to mess around yourself and learn the tool a little bit better. Let's see, we've got one other. Could we have the option to load the animation presets into any UEFN project instead of them living in the animation example template?
Say it again.
Say that
I
again.
said, could we have the option to load the animation presets into any UEFN project instead of them living in the animation example template? I don't know if they're referring to this what you were showing off, but
Yeah, so I think it's worth calling out that um, when you set up an animation preset, right? Those core locomotion animations are there in any project, and
Ooh.
then the animation that Jeremiah has here, he imported those himself, right? These are not like part of the
yeah, this
animation.
isn't like a sample one. This is like
The,
his
the regarding Rampage.
walkthrough.
Yes,
Uh,
everything in here I imported myself. I created these. I took the Paragon minions and the like the Paragon asset.
yeah.
The in order to get those in any project, you would either migrate your folder, which you can always do by just right
Nice.
another project, and anim presets, which the anim presets themselves is just the blueprint. That would be this.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's
Thank you for walking
the
us through
docs will do it much better than me trying to scramble through all of it in 5 minutes.
You're
No, this is
But
awesome for freestyling, Jeremiah. Thank you. There's so much value here that people haven't seen.
the one piece that I did want to spend a quick minute on is
Yeah, go ahead.
the Planimation API.
Yes.
The Planimation API is actually the documentation is great. But one thing that can be a bit tricky is knowing how do I actually reference the assets. So let me simple. But essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to want. You guys can sneak peek behind the scenes of where my brain is. So you can see I have this chunk of code right at the top. What I'm doing here is saying I want the folders, characters, minions, and animations to be publicly available to my verse script. So what this is referring to is this asset digest file. This asset digest file is automatically updated anytime you add new content to your project. So you can see I have characters, dino, materials, animations, textures. Those are the types of assets that are currently able to be reflected in verse. So in this case, all I wanted to do is make sure that I could get my animations. So here I have my mannequin animations. And this mannequins folder is with.
And that's auto-generated for you when you import
every time you
the
add an asset.
animations.
Nice.
So if I were to just right click and import a new asset, this file would automatically update. This is not something you would ever edit. So this, so you only want to do this in one verse file in your project. If you try and do it in multiple, it'll conflict because it'll think you're redefining characters. So you just need to have this in one. And in this case, I wanted my minion animations, my mannequin animations, my UE5 mannequins. So then what I can do is reference, this is way, essentially all I've done is I've created an enum, some things that directly map to what the animations are. So I can say play an animation, and if it's rampage, it knows that dance is emote swing. If it's a minion, it knows it's vibration. So this is my way that I created a reusable agnostic system that can play any animations on any characters. That's a very complicated way to just say play animation. play animation or play animation.
And the more info, the better. The more info, the better. I did find the one question, Jeremiah, we were looking for, and that is, do you have any tips for getting weapons to align when retargeting?
Yes. So the question really is any tips for getting the hands to align with the weapons, because we can't move the weapons.
Yes.
Those are always there. So what you can do, and I haven't spent a ton of time refining this character, but let's take a look at this. Since these do have different proportions, the UE4, or not UE4, the UE5 mannequin and the base character. Now, what we can do in a retarget asset, let's see here. If you have an animation, which I don't know if I actually have a good one here. Who knows what animation? Yeah, not that one. That's probably Rampage.
He's standing guard, all right. Look at him. Oh.
Anyways, this will work fine as a demonstration. So in my retarget file, the chain mapping has settings. So I can select any of these. And in this case, I have my IK hands mapped to, or my IK goal of my target character lined up with the end effector of my source character. It's a complicated way of saying this wrist will follow this wrist. Now there's a whole bunch of settings here, and this can get quite complex, and this is where I recommend watching some of the tutorials done by the UE team around retargeting. But one key one is this IK is turned on, and it will be if you're using this setting already. And blend to source is turned to 1. If it's turned to 0, it'll just try and follow the same motion, but won't necessarily snap the wrist to the wrist. Now the next challenge is that the length of the hand itself is going to be different. Like your metacarpals are going to be different lengths between characters. So in order to account for that, you can use these static offsets. So I can take this and just say like 10, I want to go 1. So likely what you'll do is in here, hey guys. So here you can see that the hand is offset, and this is probably what you guys are talking about, where it's floating underneath. So it looks like, let's dance. So in this case, if I were to look at the hand a bit, and let me just turn off the bones here. I want to move it toward, like, from the palm up position, and this can be a little tricky just trying to figure out which direction that is, but it might be this guy. So in that case, there we go, moved it up. That would probably help retarget and offset the hand closer to the weapon in that case. Another thing you can do is use the retarget pose. Retarget poses let you define what the base starting pose is. So in this case, if I look at these two characters next to each other, and I, let's see, I'm going to stack them on top of each other. There we go. So you can see the arms are, it looks like they're in the same spot, which is nice. But in reality, their angles are different. See how this this arm is angled steeper since it's trying to line up with the hand. I would want to create a new retarget pose here that fits more the same angles as the source character. And that's where you can do offsets for like the wrist adjustments to tweak a bit better. Let's demonstrate that real quick. I can just grab this hand. Let's get the bones again. And start making tweaks to it. Target pose. And turn off snapping. So now I can say, this is actually more than
the chat's loving this, so I appreciate you
Okay.
going into details with it.
I imagine a bunch of people around like Storytime Fire right now.
Yeah.
This is yeah, these are the lullabies I tell kids. I'm like, all right, let me detail out retargeting retarget pose creation for iPads. Anyways,
they're geniuses.
this is so now that I've made that adjustment on this one hand, now if I go back to run the retargeting, this hand will be a bit more aligned. In fact, in this case, you can see chaos. You can start getting an idea of how the hand is aligned. So I'm going to leave this on frame 30. I'm going to pop back over to my pose.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tweak this, and get a general idea. Go back. So you can see that the hand's tweaking and adjusting. So this is the fiddly bit of retargeting is refining this down so the retarget is as close and as accurate as you'd like. You may not always want it to be this precise. In fact, it's not necessary, but you can spend a lot of time going down this route to ensure that you have exactly what you want.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. We're getting a lot of questions in chat too. So we are running quick on time, so we're gonna probably jump to Village soon, chat. But with that being said, we have a new Discord channel for NPC Spawner. You can find it under UEFN space NPC-NPC on Discord. Check that out. If you have any other questions, the team will be watching, especially since we just launched this tool to answer some for you where they can, and also point you where do you need to go if there's anything. And then also don't forget about our forums. If you have any feedback or issues or things you run into at all, or you just want to showcase your cool stuff that you're making, please do share it there as well, because we'd love to pop it in our showcase too for the forums. But yeah, other than that, Jeremiah, was there anything else you wanted to go over when it comes to the spawner? I know there's so much we could cover, but
yeah, there's so much to cover. But I think I know I just showed a lot of retargeting stuff, and that can get pretty complicated. If you don't want to start from scratch, the animation starter project includes an IK rig. And it would look something like those are animations. It'll include an IK rig, something like this, and the UE5 mannequins inside UE5 also include IK rigs. So if you want to get started without having to create those manually, it's a great place to start. There is also in the UE5 with the content examples and the other project that has the mannequins, UE4 mannequin IK rig. So if you want to take assets from the marketplace, any animation assets, and you want to retarget from those onto your characters, onto your own characters inside of UEFN, start there, and you don't need to worry about the full setup. It gives you a good starting.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, don't forget to check out those docs, everyone. And like they said, the Stronghold template's going to be updated soon. That's something we're focused on. And then updating the beginner animation example. I know I'm butchering that name, Jeremiah. What that was it?
Animation
the animation
starter,
template. starter project. That's right. So definitely check those out. We'll pay attention. Keep an eye out for updates on those because we'll be updating those with all of this new stuff. But otherwise, there's some great documentation on the site thanks to Evan and team that y'all can check out and dig deeper. And again, don't feel shy. Feel free to reach out to us on Discord or forums if you've got questions or things you want to show off. But yeah, we're excited to see what you all do with this, and hopefully we can have more of a deep dive on Spawner in the future too. It's great having you, Jeremiah and Evan. Thanks so much for coming, y'all. And yeah, we really appreciate your time. This was awesome. A lot of love in chat.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you, guys. We'll miss you. Have a good rest of your day. We appreciate you coming on.
See you guys on Slack.
See you on Slack. All right. So I guess it's just you and me, John. And by that I mean just kidding.
What? Yo, what's going on, Greg? What's going on?
Welcome,
Hey,
Greg.
everybody.
Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you.
Oh man. So
Where you
we've
guys
got
come from?
another surprise.
Came from the village, huh? Hanging out in the
They came from
village.
Yes, they're so excited to talk all things village today with all of y'all. I know we've been looking forward to this for some time. A lot of great things came with this update. We briefly looked over it earlier, but we're gonna dig deep into it right now, and I'm gonna kick it off first with just some brief introductions. So yeah, I'll throw it to Kelly if you could just share with the chat. Yeah, just a little bit about yourself and what you do here at Epic.
All right. Well, hello. Thank you, Shane, for having me. So I am a lead UX designer, and I work on Fortnite Creative. And I was on Gregory's team, working on Village.
Heck yeah.
Gregory,
All right, and Gregory.
Hey everybody, and thank you for having us in the live stream today. And man, Jeremiah and Evan did such a great job. I could watch those guys talk about that stuff, the NPC Spawner all day. But yeah, I started here at Epic just a few days over a year ago. So it was close to my anniversary. And I'm a lead technical artist, strictly working on UEFN and creative tools. So I'm super happy to be on the team and be focused on just doing whatever we can to help creators out there that are making amazing experiences. And yeah, working, one thing I wanted to make absolutely clear before we get into it, Village was a gigantic team effort. I'm so glad that Kelly is joining the discussion so we could talk a little bit about the awesome stuff that she did. But there's also so many people that were on this project. So definitely a big shout out to all of them for the project. It's looking awesome and more to come for sure.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Greg. Greg, we must have started at the same time because I just had my anniversary a few days ago. So happy
Oh
my
anniversary at Epic.
Yeah, likewise.
It's been
Likewise.
1 year,
That's
guys.
wild. Yeah, it's been a year. Wild. Oh my goodness. It's I don't know how the community feels about that. It feels like yesterday I joined it, honestly. Well, welcome, Gregory and Kelly. We're so excited. So yeah, with that, let's do a little bit of an overview about what Village is for those who might not know. I know we posted everywhere right before the holidays, and then a bunch of stuff happened like the holidays. And so yeah, we'll give a quick run through of what the Village is, what you can expect in it, and what it meant for creators when it came out, especially with the update that all comes with that. So yeah, let's dig into it. I know we got some. I don't know if I know you've got videos and photos, Gregory. What do you think we should show off first?
Yeah, well, we can we can start showing some of the screenshots and just start going through them, and I'll give a bit of a high level overview, even of like how the village fits, like why even village, right? Like why are we doing this? So at a high level, one thing that I wanted to just kind of like what everybody through is like one of the things that we were discussing internally and we saw a need for was to have first of all, Village is a sample project, and it's a living sample project in the sense that what everybody is kind of seeing out there is just sort of like call it the first chapter of Village. And what we wanted to do with the sample project is really highlight a lot of the features that the broader UEFN team is creating, Jeremiah included, but so many others that are developing cool devices and cool features. And we wanted to be able to have a place to really kind of like showcase those things, but all kind of like working together in what we felt would be a, like a bigger experience than just as like a small test, something like envisioning what creators may want to do with them. And there's a couple of aspects of that. One is to kind of use the sample project as an educational mechanism to kind of say, hey, we're putting all these devices together, and it's and kind of like share tips and tricks, and just really a more palpable example of how people could combine them for their own experiences. But the other one is actually just also really putting those features and those new devices through their paces, and working closely with our internal teams, because a lot of this stuff, Jeremiah, like he was this stuff that he was demonstrating with Evan earlier. They're working on one thing, and there's so many things that are in the mix right now that are being developed. And we wanted to also just kind of battle test that stuff together, because in some cases, we may find little inconsistencies, like functionally things can be working and the team is doing a fantastic job and things can be like kind of doing what they're supposed to, but then we kind of realize, oh my God, this device is doing this thing over here and they call it this way, and this device is kind of doing something similar, but they call it something else. So little things like that are just kind of like labeling issues that sometimes we can tighten up a little bit. So that battle testing is really important, and it goes beyond devices. We also, one thing that was really cool about the village is we got to work with the URC team that basically is the Unreal revision control system. And to date, this is one of the largest teams that has been on URC, and it was fantastic. The URC team was very excited to be able to get more information and more data and analytics from people using that framework. And that team is wonderful. I have nothing but amazing things to say about that team. But through that battle testing, we discovered that there's some things that we know we want to improve, and at a minimum, because URC has great plans, and they have a nice roadmap in place, it helped to cement the idea of all the things that they were emphasizing to add and to support in the future. So that was really cool. In addition to that, we also were battle testing Patchwork, and Patchwork was coming out around the same time, and I think we've had some streams and some content out there about that team, but that was also really cool to kind of like have in the mix.
Good call. Yeah, I forgot that the music was made with Patchwork.
Yeah, exactly. So right. Really the idea, like one of the kind of broader efforts as well, is to just basically say, hey, this is the kind of stuff that creators should be using. Let's use it. Let's make sure that everything kind of works as we expected, but also just make sure that it's intuitive, right? So one of the, I would say, overarching guidelines as well for Village is to just make sure that we're not cheating. We have an amazing, talented team in BR in very close proximity to us, and also the UE engineering team. But one thing that is really important for us is to, when we're trying to add various features to Village, if there was any point that like had friction, it was very much, super important for us to go and do it in a way that we knew creators would be able to do as well, and in a way that it would be intuitive for them to do as well. And in some cases, if we said, no, listen, we're jumping through to get something working, we would either have to plan a feature to make sure that was being released for everybody, not just for our team, or postpone it until later, until we could do it, right? So that was also just really important. So the spirit here of Village is to kind of say, hey, we're putting an experience that we could expect creators would want to do, and let's make sure that it's supported. It's supported in a way that everybody can take advantage of. The other last bit that I'll mention that was also really important for us is, and Jeremiah alluded to this a little bit earlier, is we wanted to make sure to show an example that was not a shooter, that was not Battle Royale. As much as we love, Battle Royale, we want to show creators, listen, Fortnite is not just about shooters, and it's not just about Battle Royale. You can do other experiences with it. So we wanted the genre, if you will, to be different, to be something new, but also some of the visuals, and something that I can talk about a little bit later, like the water is a really good example in this screenshot. It nailed it with this screenshot. Is something we had really cool concept artwork for, and one of our technical artists, Austin, went to town in building that water shader, specifically for Village. So it wasn't the Battle Royale water, and it's not photorealistic water. It's just something that we say, you know what, let's just match a concept, like we would expect many creators to be able to do. They have like a cool image of something that they want to do. How would they go about it? And it was an exercise because we realized that there's some things that were really tricky and were not necessarily intuitive for people to do on their own. And we had actually some help from the UE team. Roy over in the UE team helped us expose some functionality that, again, and not just for Village, but that all creators can take advantage of when doing something like this. So those are the broad strokes of what we were trying to deliver with Village. And again, this is the first chapter. This is a living sample project. We expect to have many more chapters to come. And I can't promise when the next one is coming, but man, we're all working really hard to get that out to everybody.
Oh, and we appreciate you all. We're getting a lot of posts in chat about how wonderful Village is and how it opens so many people's eyes up to what is possible in Fortnite. So glad to hear that the community's loving it. Yeah, and excited to have y'all here to share about it. So I know originally we were going to have Carlos on. Carlos worked a lot on the lighting and he wasn't able to be here. So we're bummed we don't have Carlos, but I know Greg, did we want to go into any deeper detail on anything in particular there, or was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, absolutely. We can touch upon the lighting. And Carlos Cristerna, he's one of our product specialists. He did an amazing job with the lighting in Village. And there's also, and you may see some of his presentations from Unreal Fest. If you haven't checked out some of the UEFN lighting presentations from Unreal Fest, I believe they're all uploaded now. They're fantastic, and Carlos did a fantastic job, and the rest of the team did a fantastic job with those. Definitely check those out, because they definitely touch upon the concepts that we utilize on Village. And there's also a couple of lighting templates that are super useful. But one of the things with Village, at least for this chapter, we wanted to keep it simple. And again, kind of going back to the sentiment of like, we don't really necessarily want to force creators to be, cinematographers or lighting experts. We wanted to make sure that we could achieve a nice, sort of like mood for the outdoor lighting. So we're basically just using the time of day manager, which you can select in world settings, pretty much out of the box. The only thing that we did was we just added a little bit more fog to our scene, particularly when you get to the bridge scene. There's a nice level of atmosphere there, and it was just really important for us to kind of crank that up a little bit. But that's really all we did. So otherwise, it's out of the box what you get using the time of day manager. And then for our indoor sections, so we started in a homestead. We started in basically the player's home, and then there's a general store that you can go into. That was done through a day sequence device. And again, we try to keep it real simple. So it's still just an indoor setup, and it's an indoor setup that's shared across all these locations. We're going to add a few other indoor locations in the future. And again, that setup is pretty simple. So just day sequence device, all the settings are there to be tweaked just to make sure that you get the right level of ambiance for the interiors. And that's it. So it should be something that's pretty easy for creators to accomplish. And the only other thing that Carlos added, because he is a consummate artist and he just couldn't help himself, is just making sure that there were, pools of light in the interiors, particularly in the general store. We're talking about a larger area. And just there's these nice lights that he added just to give pools of light into that section. And one of the other things that I want to kind of highlight about kind of like using these tools, fairly similar to the way they come out of the box, is that there's a lot of stuff, a lot of logic behind the scenes that will allow them to work across different platforms. So Village, after all, a lot of these screenshots you're looking at, what it looks like on high-end PCs, but we want, Village to also look great on Switch and mobile, and lower-end consoles. So that's where using, time of day manager and the day sequence device, those have a lot of logic that help us kind of like balance the lighting so that when you're looking at an experience across platforms, it's you get something consistent. So that was really cool. But Carlos did a fantastic job with the lighting.
Yeah, it looks wonderful. And everyone, I know they appreciate having an option that's, streamlined and feels good, and and it's a great example to show stylistically what you can do and separate yourself
Oh
from the
yeah,
crowd. So
the
very cool,
style.
very
And
awesome.
even
Yes.
the HUD, the mini map, right? The camera perspective, the message boxes, right? You see that and you're just like, yo, what game is this, right? You could easily forget that you're in Fortnite.
Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, another one of the things that I wanted to highlight that I glossed over a little bit. Obviously with this first milestone or this first chapter of Village, we really wanted to show off what you could do with the camera and controls. So it in a way, and it's kind of like isometric, kind of like third person view that you see highlighted in the game. We also wanted to make sure that creators kind of understood that when you are going to those cameras, you want to think about the game design as well, like and the level design, just to make sure that it lends itself to that camera. So, Ruffini, who was the lead designer on this, was very deliberate about making sure that when we came out of Homestead, it lent itself to that kind of camera framing, and then we cross the bridge and we go through the wilderness and we transition into a much higher perspective. So we made sure that where the trees are, where the edge of cliffs are, and all of that stuff is very deliberate to make this work. And then we get to the bridge scene and we come into a side scroller view. So we want to kind of showcase that. And also then we transition into the town and we go to yet another camera view. And then when we talk to the NPCs, we go into a close-up view. So that was a really good example of, it wasn't just showing one setting for the camera. It's like we knew that it's like, man, as soon as people get their hands on this, they're going to want to do different camera framings, and it needs to be smooth as it goes from one framing to another. So that's where Village was just a really good sort of like framework to let us validate that all those things are working and battle test them, and again, kind of trying to smooth out the experience as much as possible, because we knew people were going to go to town with those features once it was out there.
So glad we had it, because it really stepped it up and made it feel so much more immersive as an example island too. So props to the team for building that, and then for taking it as far as to make these tools for everyone. Because I absolutely would have seen that, Gregory. They're all like, we want to do it now too, which of course.
Exactly. Yeah. And everything that people are creating
we-
is looking amazing. So kudos to everybody.
It is. Huge shout out to y'all who are sharing the things that you're building with these tools, because every time I see them, I mean, I know what's possible on this side as well, but the more I see y'all create, the more I go, oh, whoa, I didn't even think of that, or oh, wow, they're really taking that to the next level. That's so cool to see. So we all deeply appreciate it, even though we make the tools, we want to see the things you make with them. So we've got a couple questions I know we're going to dive into. Kelly's going to talk a bit about the UI in Village. But we've got this question that I'm curious to know too, Gregory, and that is the Village example island going to be available to check out and backward engineer by chance?
Reverse engineering.
Yes, so that's a fantastic question, because that's probably exactly what I would want to do. So yes, that is absolutely the intention. And and just to be completely transparent, our plan was originally with this first milestone of Village to do that, right? We ran into some challenges in doing that. We really banged on it. We tried really hard. Because we wanted this to be a living project, we ran into some limitations, and they're not errors. They're actually the way like things are defined, designed for UEFN. But it became a little bit tricky to release it as a template, but then continue to build upon it, right? So then we started looking at a situation where we'd have to kind of do, instead of like one template that people could take a look at and continue to augment it and have it develop over time, it started to turn into like, oh my God, no, we're going to have to do like a template per release. So it started getting really complicated. Exactly. So it wasn't ideal, but what we decided to do is to still release Village so that people could see what's possible, and at the very least use it for inspiration. We released a devlog as well, and we had a production, and our production Ask Me Anything on the forums last week. If you haven't seen it, please go check that out, because we tried to talk a little bit more about art in general for UEFN, but it touches upon concepts for Village, and as well as the live stream today. So we want to get the knowledge out there, but as a template, it's going to have to wait a few more milestones for us to be able to release it out there. But the intent is absolutely, for everybody to examine how it is that we put it together, be able to look at the materials and everything and actually use them in their own experiences. So that is definitely the plan. But just be patient.
And yes, patience is key. Someone else is asking, are we going to be able to make it into that railroad tunnel area, Winky Face?
I can't confirm
or is it just the mystery of the...
Yeah.
You'll never know. Maybe. Who knows? You'll never know. We don't know.
You'll have to come back and check it out.
Yeah.
Another question I see here in the chat is asking, like, will there ever be point and click controls?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know specifically on that. I know that there's so many things that we want to put on there. I think that we want to add to the village. It's TBD on that one. But I guarantee that it's part of the conversation. It's a matter of like, some of them are really a matter of like which release do we want to plan that stuff for. But I'll definitely make sure that we talk about it to see if we can add it to the plans.
Sweet, thank you, Gregory. And now, Kelly, I'm so excited about this segment because I remember when you were building out the UI and how fun it was and how unique it was and you presenting. So I'm so excited for you to share more about the process and everything about it with us. Take it away.
Yeah. Okay. Well, much like everybody else has been talking about, we really wanted to make Village appear to be completely different from what traditional Battle Royale is. So when we started with that, we were like, okay, well, let's try to make this casual game. We want wood everywhere. We want soft colors. And so we took that and then created some mock-ups for what we wanted Village to actually start to look like. So how we built the UI, though, we wanted to have everything built inside UEFN's UMG editor. And then we utilized devices with MVVM control, or with MVVM to control the data. So here, what we're looking at, we have a couple of examples with the HUD message device. So we used it to pop up new quests and to track them through verse. We also used it to display wooden signs when new areas were discovered. And so by using the view model, we were able to control the visuals we were able to connect the visuals to the data on the device and replace the text. So where we see text area, that's actually controlled through MVVM and is dynamic for each area that you enter. So we can go to the next slide. For the buttons, we wanted to change the background color to match the Village aesthetic. And at the time when we did that, when we did the first release of Village, these buttons were using the very traditional Fortnite blue color. And we were able to put a material behind a quiet button and give the button a new look. We changed the color inside the widget and we were able to achieve what we needed. After that, we hooked up the view model to a modal dialogue device and replaced the text and actions for header, the text area, and all of our buttons.
Oh, Kelly, someone's asking what MVVM stands for.
Model view model. Model view model.
Look, sometimes we just know the acronyms, everyone. So that's what corporate America.
I know the view model part of it for sure.
I know, I could usually guess half of it.
So how view models work is it has the data and you can connect it to certain elements. So in this case, for a modal dialogue, the view model can control the header text, it can control the body text, and it can control up to 6 buttons. And on the right side of that screenshot, we can see how we hooked up the bindings to that data. So right now we're using 2 buttons at most, and then we connect it to the data that we need to display. And that data is inside the device. So we would put down a modal dialogue device into the world, and then in those settings, that's where we would put our text. We would place it where we needed it to be placed. Some of our devices come with pre-built animations, and that's where we can set any of the animations for how we want it to appear when it's triggered.
Thank you for walking us through that. And yep, it's definitely model view model. Thank you. Yeah. And Kelly crushed it. I would never have guessed that was it, but you know what? Sometimes it's just straightforward. Someone also was wondering how much of this is exposed in verse, the UI stuff.
So we tried not to rely on verse too much. We wanted to rely on the MVVM usage of it. For the first release of this, we had a HUD message device to display the active quests. And then that was the one thing that was using verse to track how many villagers you met and how many chickens you captured. So that's the part that was connected through verse, but everything else is a device and a view model.
Awesome. Make it as easy as possible to start, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that. I thought there would have been more verse UI in here, so that's actually cool to see.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. Well, was there anything else we wanted to cover on UI, Kelly?
There's more. It's not done yet.
Oh yes, let's go. Yeah.
There's got to be a mini map in here.
This is when things. I think this is when things get interesting.
All right, I'm ready. I'm strapped in.
Soft edges, soft round edges. Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I don't know how widely known it is, but in UEFN we have a material that is called MUI shape rectangle. So if you search for this, you can create a material instance of it and customize it however you need. So on the right-hand side, we can see that this material has options that you can change, such as fill, shape, stroke, colors, and gradients. There's also focus states and press states and disabled states as well. So by changing the shape and the dimensions and rotation, you can get really creative. So next slide.
Someone just said, God bless this material. People are loving this episode.
So this is an example where we added a radial gradient and an animation type and a rotation speed. And then we get this nice little looping animation happening. And if we apply that animated material to one of our signs, we can get this nice shimmer effect, which is on the next slide.
Ooh.
Next slide. Yeah.
Oh, yay!
Oh, yeah, that's magical. That's like so polished.
Yeah. So you can get pretty creative with how you're making all of these materials. And it's just one material, highly customizable, that you can create multiple instances of. So I thought that was really cool, and I love this. So now we can go on to the next slide. This is the last thing that I'll touch on, which is about textures. So all the textures that we used were exported with Power of Two dimensions. What Power of Two does is that it allows the engine to process textures smoother and quicker. So Power of Two would be 128 pixels, 256, 512. We don't go too high. I don't think there's any image in here that is above 512, which also includes a lot of this wood grain that we use in pretty big areas. But wood grain is good for this because we were able to stretch it and it doesn't affect any pixelation of that asset. So it worked out well for what we needed. And all of the icons, I believe, are 128 by 128. So then they don't appear pixelated on screens with higher resolutions. And then also to get the most out of them, and we did this with materials as well, we kept the color white whenever possible. So not all of our materials were white, a lot of them were, and instead we adjusted the colors inside the widgets instead. So we could take that shiny border, and which is, it's not shiny in this picture, but we have a white version of it. We use everywhere. We use it on the bigger one that announces an area. We use it on this little sign. and in different layers. The big thing that you'll see actually on the left side of the screen is that we take the same material, but we apply a different color, and that is a new layer. So this sign is built with a background color layer, a wood grain layer, a border layer, a shadow layer, and a highlight layer. And we just keep building upon it to give it some dimension. And by keeping the assets white, we were able to reuse them and keep the file size reasonable, which is a big thing.
Huge.
Consider your UI, yes. And then next slide. That's it. So that's all of the UI overview of the UI and the things that we took into consideration while building it.
Well, thank you so much for putting that together, Kelly. That was beautiful. I mean, of course, you're an artiste, so you.
Part
of
of her
course, it would
job.
be
It's
beautiful.
part of her job.
Yeah, that's right. We got quite a few questions here too. And chat, if you do have questions, please put them in chat. We have a decent amount of time left, so we'd be happy to answer them. But let's see here. I saw a question on. Oh yeah, we asked the verse one, and then we've got this the most recent. I'm curious what the rough memory usage of this project is at the moment. Ooh, good question.
Ooh, that's
Do we
a
happen
good
to
one.
know? The deep
I
one.
think we were I think we were at around so Patchwork did add a bit to it once we added it in. But then that actually allowed us to see a bunch of things that we needed to fix, a bunch of bug fixes, because it actually shouldn't have been that much memory. So I think we were sitting at around 60%, if I'm not mistaken. But I definitely have to go back, and because since we've added a few things that are yet to be released. But I think we were between like around 60%, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool. And then we've got, this is a good question for you, Kelly. Where can I learn more about UI animation? I've been using post-processing materials.
Oh, that's a question for me.
Or maybe not, Kelly.
Maybe Flack.
We need to put her on
to
this.
call the
Yeah.
lifeline.
She knows.
Well, I don't know. I just keep using it. Maybe we should dive into that topic a little more and provide some UI
Dedicated
tips.
session.
Yeah.
Ideas for future
cool.
episode.
Oh yeah.
I'd be
That would
there
be
for
awesome.
sure. Like, I don't know how to work
me
with
too.
the UI stuff here, and I definitely want to learn.
Yeah, that's one thing that I will say. I mean, I think Kelly's underselling it a little bit, but I remember, when we first started seeing the drops into the game, so we had placeholder dialogues and things like that, right, to communicate the quests and all that stuff. But when Kelly and her team started dropping the stuff that they were working on, oh my God, it just elevated how sophisticated the village was starting to look. I mean, it went from it was really magical. We started getting amazing UI, and then Patchwork started going in, adding audio, and we're like, oh my God, this is going next level. So it's really cool. Like, the UI had such a big impact on just how the village feels, the cozy feel of it, and everything. So fantastic work by Kelly.
For sure.
And
And a lot of the stuff that we used in UEFN, like I said, was all built inside UMG. And the tools that are available within UMG, while they might seem, I don't even want to say basic, they're not basic, very powerful, and they're not too many. So it's very easy to understand once you know. I think there's maybe 20. So there's 20 tools that we use inside UMG, and I would say 90% of the time I'm dropping down an image, and then I'll attach a material to it, or I'll attach a texture to it. And then everything else is just manipulating the shape and the size of it. And layering is a big thing with UI as well. So you'll get a lot of depth with things like the signs that we put in, or even the dialogue device. You could just put down one texture, but then it's going to feel quite flat. But then when you start to add in another image layer behind it, now you can put in a drop shadow made out of the material. And you could put another layer on top of it. Now you can have a little highlight layer or maybe a little stroke. And it'll start to have more life to it.
This is a great call out.
Absolutely.
Like, totally a great takeaway for creators to really differentiate their experiences and maps, and give it a completely bespoke look, right? Like as soon as you turn off kind of the core Fortnite UI, you're already kind of like immersed in the experience, right? You're like, oh, what's this? You know, this feels completely different than what I'm used to. I think you even had Daniel in the chat already label your show, Kelly. It's called UI with Kelly.
Oh,
Please show.
but Daniel's the star of the show there. Everything that you see is Daniel, our UI designer, building it out inside Figma. And then we export that. And then that's where I come in and put it inside UEFN and make it actually work.
Okay, so the show would be like UI with Daniel and Kelly. So it's a
Yeah. I'm
two-person show. There you go.
I'm the
There we go.
co-host in that one.
Co-hosting for the win.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of people saying they'd be totally down to attend something like that. So we should definitely talk about it. That sounds good. Oh, there was a question I just had here too. Is there any update on adding options to make custom clickable UI buttons? Only option so far is using Verse from this post.
Custom clickable.
Custom clickable UI buttons. Outside of the little buttons that you were showing us, Kelly, is
So every time I'm not sure how to answer that, but every time I hook up a button, it's not through Verse. So I'll open up the modal dialog and I can set functions and events within that. But through Verse, I'm not a Verse developer. I'm sorry.
you know, that is totally fair. If you guys do have questions about Village and things like that, we did have the AMA. You can I'm pretty sure they can ask questions there, or if you have any other questions or feedback or thoughts around Village, feel free to post in our forums. We're always keeping track of those and happy to answer any questions you have there, and we can get more eyes on it too, because yeah, there's definitely a variety of questions we could ask in this vein. So I'm seeing other questions about Verse, so I'm gonna stay away just since we don't have that ready to go. But yeah, cool. Well, other than that, tons of love for everything that you've shown, and thank you so much, Kelly, for walking us through that. So I know another thing we wanted to touch on, team, was talking about what's possible with these tools. And I know we've seen a lot from the community, but I know, Gregory, you had a lot of thoughts around that, and also, you know, the community in general, and you know how they help us kind of identify what future things to build and make and what their needs are and stuff. So was there anything else we wanted to touch on when it comes to what's possible?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, one thing that I will emphasize, like what Shane was touching upon earlier, like feedback is hugely important. You know, so a lot of us will be in Discord and the forums, you know, obviously paying attention to the feedback on live streams. But anything that we don't catch ourselves, Shane will hunt us down and she will say, listen, the communities these are things that the community is highlighting, and it's very visible, and we're all paying attention, and we're all trying to help however we can. And that's where, like, I think is just really important, you know, that everybody understand we're out there to support you, you know. So Village is a way for us to exercise new features, you know, in expected and some unexpected ways. But at the end of the day, you know, we really look at the experiences that are being created. There's a group of us that play test, you know, some of the experiences weekly, religiously, and we look forward to that. It's just a lot of fun, but we also get to see a lot of sort of like the emerging experiences that you are all putting together. And it's important. It's important for us. At the end of the day, we want to make sure, and I kind of touched upon this for Village, is we're trying to make sure that we are we are really pushing what is possible to create, and we're trying to make sure to not use any kind of hacks or behind the scenes magic, that we are trying to exercise the tools that are being made available to all the creators, and keep the feedback coming. If something is working in a way you don't expect it, or something's not intuitive, please provide us that feedback. Even for Village, if there's things that you say, oh my God, I really want to see, can you show off this, or can you do that? Like a lot of us, I'll even say, like on this still that we're looking at, Kelly was one of the first ones that said, hey, shouldn't we have a reveal? And we revealed the title of Village, and that just came up in conversation. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, that would be so cool. Let's make it happen. So if the community has ideas on things that feel belong in this world, and maybe things that don't, we're having fun with this. This is not going to be, a game that we market or we monetize in any way. This is really, think of it as a sandbox to help the community. Let us know about that feedback. But yeah, we're out here to support you, and can't wait to see what you do with all of these things in your own experiences.
That's so cool, man.
Absolutely.
These are the days where the job doesn't feel so much like a job, right? Like where we get to create some cool things and then see people run wild with those ideas.
Exactly. Yeah, totally, John.
Definitely.
Ooh,
Cool.
I did have a question that was asked in the chat regarding like how the
Yes.
minimap was made.
Oh yeah. I know we were gonna dive into minimap a little bit in a second. Did we want to do that, Greg, or do we want to answer the question first, or whatever you think fits?
Oh, I think Kelly, you know a little bit more about the minimap, yeah?
Ooh, Kelly's gonna show us. Yay!
A little bit.
Okay. If you know a little
So-
bit, that's probably more than me.
I know enough to answer this question. So inside UEFN, you can drop down a map controller device, and underneath advanced, you'll see an option there that says custom map texture, and you can map it to a custom map texture.
Also, okay, so
Awesome.
it's a custom texture added to the device.
Yeah.
Nice. That's pretty straightforward. That's awesome.
The minimap is one of those discussions that we had where it's definitely not what you would expect from like a polished minimap. I've seen the concept for that, and it's gonna look amazing at some point. But we wanted to make sure to have it out there for creators to see and be able to do it at least in some fashion. But we're definitely talking about how to improve it. So it's maybe not just a square. We can have it in some kind of different shape framing. So more to come on that. But I'm glad we did get it out there. But it's just a glimpse of what we have in store.
Awesome. Cool.
Awesome.
Let's see. I don't know if we can answer this question. It sounds like it could pertain to the UI stuff, but are we going to be able to disable HUD elements like the first-person shooter counter net debug stats? That might be, I don't know if y'all have the answer there, but I think that might be a little too into the weeds.
I mean, we have like a HUD device that lets you turn off things, but I don't know if this is mapped in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may
I don't know if
just be
this
a
is
matter
one
of
of the things you could turn off.
No, not first-person shooter, frames per second. So being able to disable
Thank
HUD
you.
elements that are inside UEFN, and that's something that we've been talking about, but can't promise anything.
Isn't that just like a
Awesome, thank
Fortnite
you.
setting? Like if you go into like the game's UI settings, you can't turn that off?
No, it's all stuff that appears in UEFN when you launch a new session, and then you can see your session status and a couple of
Okay,
other.
but I'm sure when you publish it, it's not there.
Yeah, no, when you publish it, it's not there. But we had noticed that things like the session status does get in the way of design decisions. So this is a fun little thing that we didn't realize at the time, but we were putting all of the quest information below the session status, even though we knew it wasn't going to be there live. So we raised it up, but they have to overlap. So it's a good question to come in, and it is something that we had talked about. Just that's all I can say.
Yeah,
had
good
talked
to know.
about
No,
it.
great to know. Great to know. Like you forget about these things, or that it is there, and it can get in the way in development.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing a lot of questions about weapons in chat. So we aren't able to comment on weapons just because we don't have the insight there for who we've got on, or with myself. Like, definitely want the right person to answer that. But if you do have those kinds of questions, you can feel free and ask in the forums, and maybe you'll get an answer. Maybe the right person will be checking it out. But yeah, if we do have any updates on that, and we do ever have a segment on that, feel free to bring those questions there. But well, are there any other questions anyone has in chat about Village? I know, yeah, we talked a bit about the additional features, right? Gregory and Kelly, was there anything else we wanted to kind of touch on and cover? Or how are we feeling?
There's a question
There's
about the
definitely more to
camera
come.
transitions, I think.
More to come. What'd you say, John?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a question regarding the camera transitions, I believe, when you go from the homestead to the other places, or the indoors to the
Oh,
outdoors,
Mhm.
and how that works.
oh, how did you create those transitions? Yeah, nice.
So I know just a tiny little bit about that, but I think that there was let's see if we can find. I believe that there was an AMA on the camera control, so maybe we can share that link if
Mm,
we can find it.
Yep, yep.
good
But
Please,
call.
they're
Black.
for now. What I will say is they're fairly simple, but we definitely want to provide more control in the future. Like for example, when we get into the town and we talk to the NPCs, there's a way like the camera interpolates and pulls in. There's not a lot of control yet on how that can be done. So in some cases, we're like going through like geometry is like there was a hill in the way or something like that, and it would go straight through. Like, what the heck is going on? So we know that things are in a bit of a basic state at the moment, but it was again, one of those things, similar to what Jeremiah was talking about earlier. We wanted to get that functionality out there for creators, but definitely. Chime in on controls that you would like to see on the camera in the future. That's definitely a work in progress.
Rafini's in the chat, so he's answering
Oh,
some
there you
questions.
go.
Good.
He'll know. He'll know. Yeah.
Yeah, but for sure, like if you haven't tinkered with the camera devices, you have to try them. They're super powerful, and the settings that you have do a lot. Like you can just play with them and watch transitions happen, right? And so just trigger cameras on and off, and go to town.
Sweet. Cool. Well, with that, if you do have any other questions relating to anything that we've talked about today, don't forget to go to the forums, ask your questions, check out the resources that we have on the Discord, or feel free and, of course, ask the community. They are usually so on top of it as well, and there to help. They're a very helpful community, so don't feel shy. We're all appreciative of your questions. We know everything is in its early stages. UEFN is still technically beta. We've got NPC Spawner out in alpha, and as Gregory and Kelly were saying, there's a lot to come with Village as well. So lots to come, and all of those doors are open. So feel free and utilize those platforms. So a special shout out to Flack for putting everything in chat. Thank you so much,
Thank
Stacey
you,
Flack, for
Flack.
doing that. And thank you everyone for being here today. And thanks, John, so much for co-hosting with me today. It was fun to have you on. And what a packed show we had. Y'all shared some awesome information. I know a lot of value was pulled from this. And yeah, I'm very thankful for your time and for your expertise and for your presentations and everything. So thank you so much, team.
Awesome.
Thank you, Shane.
That's great.
I appreciate you all, and I
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
you, chat, for being here. Thanks for coming and showing up and giving your support and asking your questions. We love having you, and we can't wait to see what you make with all these awesome devices and new things to come. So keep us posted. Don't feel nervous to reach out. We're here because we're so excited to hear from you. So thank you all for who showed up. Thank you all for here, and have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you next time on Creating in Fortnite. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, community.